3 महीने में एक बार।
ब्याज, इंटरेस्ट।
लोन पे तो इंटरेस्ट बैंक हर महीने लेते हैं।
लेकिन सेविंग्स अकाउंट में इंटरेस्ट देते हैं 3 महीने में एक बार।
ऐसा क्यों?
एयू बैंक के सेविंग्स अकाउंट में इंटरेस्ट मिलता है हर महीने।
मतलब साल में 12 बार।
एयू बैंक, बदलाव हमसे है।
Presenting 2 new tech initiatives in the retail microfinance sector. Sahyog 2.0 app to ensure data security and efficient services with newly added features like eKYC, geo-tagging and instant credit verification. And cashless payments of EMI via any bank UPI for easy and safe transactions. All this with an aim to enhance last mile efficiency and delivery for the microfinance entrepreneurs.
जिंदगी के कई मौसम अनुभव किया मैंने। हालात बदले, लोग बदले, अगर कुछ नहीं बदला तो बाबूजी की सिखाई हुई एक बात, वो कहते थे जब नींव मजबूत हो तो फिर चाहे वक्त के उतार चढ़ाव कैसे भी हो, हम उनका डट कर सामना करने में सक्षम होंगे। बिल्कुल इस पेड़ की तरह ऐसा ही एक अटूट रिश्ता जोड़ता है आपके साथ IDFC फर्स्ट बैंक। विश्वास, पारदर्शिता और सच्चाई का, क्योंकि इनको आपकी सफलता में अपनी जीत दिखती। मैं तो जुड़ चुका हूं इनके साथ, आप भी जुड़ जाइए ना। IDFC फर्स्ट बैंक, ऑलवेज यू फर्स्ट।
प्रयास लोन, सिडबीज डिजिटल प्रयास पार्टनर जर्नी। आइए देखते हैं इस डिजिटल इनिशिएटिव की जर्नी। इस इनिशिएटिव में पार्टनर इंस्टीट्यूशन के माध्यम से सिडबी के द्वारा लोन प्राप्त किया जा सकता है। सिडबी की प्रयास स्कीम की मदद से अपना छोटा व्यवसाय शुरू करने के लिए उद्यमी पार्टनर इंस्टीट्यूशन के ऑफिसर से संपर्क करता है और उसके KYC डॉक्यूमेंट और बेसिक लोन इंफॉर्मेशन लेकर पार्टनर इंस्टीट्यूशन का ऑफिसर प्रयास ऐप में लॉगिन करता है। उसके द्वारा कस्टमर का आधार नंबर डालकर कस्टमर के KYC वेरिफिकेशन की प्रक्रिया की जाती है। पार्टनर इंस्टीट्यूशन लोन डिटेल्स और बेसिक इंफॉर्मेशन के साथ ही इनकम एक्सपेंडिचर इंफॉर्मेशन भी फिल करता है। इसके बाद पार्टनर इंस्टीट्यूशन ऑनलाइन ब्यूरो से डाटा प्राप्त कर आगे की प्रक्रिया शुरू करता है। इसके बाद पार्टनर इंस्टीट्यूशन ऑफिसर लोन एप्लीकेशन को पार्टनर इंस्टीट्यूशन चेकर के पास भेजता है। पार्टनर इंस्टीट्यूशन चेकर डाटा को वेरीफाई कर लोन एप्लीकेशन को सिडबी में फॉरवर्ड करता है। सिडबी लोन ऑफिसर प्रयास ऐप में लॉगिन कर डाटा वेरीफाई करता है और सैंक्शन करने के लिए सिडबी चेकर को भेज देता है। सिडबी चेकर डाटा चेक कर लोन सैंक्शन कर देता है। अब पार्टनर इंस्टीट्यूशन लोन ऑफिसर डॉक्यूमेंट्स की ई साइनिंग और ई स्टैंपिंग की प्रक्रिया यानी प्रोसेस शुरू करता है। इसके बाद कस्टमर और सिडबी ऑफिशियल को SMS और ईमेल द्वारा NESL से डिजिटल डॉक्यूमेंट्स का लिंक प्राप्त होता है। कस्टमर लिंक को OTP द्वारा खोलता है और उसके बाद निर्धारित डॉक्यूमेंट्स इलेक्ट्रॉनिकली ई साइंड और ई स्टैम्प्ड हो जाते हैं। इसी तरह सिडबी ऑफिसर भी OTP डालकर लिंक खोलता है और उसके द्वारा निर्धारित डॉक्यूमेंट्स इलेक्ट्रॉनिकली ई साइंड और ई स्टैम्प्ड किए जाते हैं। अब पार्टनर इंस्टीट्यूशन लोन डिसबर्समेंट रिक्वेस्ट इनिशिएट करता है और पार्टनर इंस्टीट्यूशन चेकर इसे दोबारा चेक और अप्रूव कर सिडबी को आगे भेज देता है। सिडबी ऑफिसर दोबारा डिसबर्समेंट रिक्वेस्ट को वेरीफाई करता है और सिडबी चेकर लोन अमाउंट और अकाउंट डिटेल्स वेरीफाई कर लोन अमाउंट बेनिफिशियरी यानी लाभार्थी के खाते में क्रेडिट कर देता है। इस तरह बड़ी आसानी से सिडबी और पार्टनर इंस्टीट्यूशन के माध्यम से बहुत ही कम समय में लोन प्राप्त कर छोटे उद्यमी अपनी जीविका का साधन अपना रहे हैं। प्रयास ऐप से अपने प्रयासों को सफल बनाएं। सिडबी आपके साथ है, सिर्फ एक प्रयास की बात है।
A very warm good morning to all of you. I would like to thank each one of you for joining us this morning for the opening session of the track, Building Capacities of Communities, New Economy Aids for Financial Education. This track is curated in partnership with CRISIL Foundation, and I thank the team at CRISIL Foundation for providing us structural support and, of course, supporting the track. I'd like to welcome Maya Vengulkar, Chief Operating Officer, CRISIL Foundation, for delivering the opening address.
Hi, thank you, Arya. Good morning to you all. I'm really delighted to be setting the tone for this very important track on financial education at the Inclusive Finance India Summit, which has over the years become an important platform to bring to the fore important issues around financial inclusion, and has also been very effective in creating a dialogue between all the key stakeholders involved in financial inclusion agenda. So for us, both CRISIL and CRISIL Foundation, we have had a long association with financial inclusion and financial education agenda, almost close to a decade, you may say. So in 2013, we launched CRISIL Inclusives, which is a marquee policy brief measuring the extent of financial inclusion at the district and state levels. The index comprehensively measures financial inclusion achieved through banking sector, microfinance sector, as well as insurance sector. Within our flagship CSR program, Main Pragati, we have demonstrated a highly impactful and replicable model for financial education through a robust community cadre of Sakhis to drive financial awareness and behavior change. Our work in financial inclusion today, which started in 2014, today as we speak in 2021, it spans across 2,800 villages across the two states of Assam and Rajasthan. We have covered close to 500,000 households and mainly women of these households. Our community cadre of Sakhis is 1,800 strong. These Sakhis are actively functioning as well-trained community cadre. And most recently, CRISIL Foundation, and I'm really happy to share this, that most recently CRISIL Foundation has been awarded by the Reserve Bank of India a large mandate to set up 429 centers for financial literacy across 14 states and 4 union territories. So each of these centers will be set up at a block level, and each center will cover outreach across 3 blocks, including the block where it is based. So through these 429 centers across 18 geographies, CRISIL Foundation through RBI and sponsor banks would be reaching out to almost 1,200 blocks in the country. So this is a very large outreach. And this particular program is a result of highly successful pilot that Reserve Bank of India tried. It ran for 4 years from 2017 till 2021, and CRISIL Foundation was an important part of this pilot program. So clearly, it's a huge focus area for the Reserve Bank of India, and it has been so for several years and for several other stakeholders as well. So clearly, financial awareness and education is a key pillar of RBI's national strategy for financial inclusion. Most of us would have definitely looked through that document, read through the document, which was recently published by Reserve Bank of India. And that document clearly says that more than 35 countries, including countries like China, Brazil, and Indonesia, have a national financial inclusion strategy which focuses on last mile delivery. And financial literacy has been identified as an important theme by all these countries. The document also talks about or highlights, I would say, 8 causes to financial exclusion. And these causes are lack of surplus income, products not suitable to customers' requirements, lack of requisite documents available at the customer's end, lack of awareness about the product, lack of trust in the system, high transaction costs, remoteness of service providers, and poor quality of services rendered. So clearly, if you look at the list of these 18 impediments, so to say, almost I would say that 4 can be directly linked to lack of proper financial education and capability building among the stakeholders. And this is where I would say a lot of effort over the years has also been invested by various stakeholders, including RBI. However, what we observe is that historically, all these well-intended solutions, have been tried out from the supply side to achieve the goal of universal financial inclusion, I would say. So be it, initiatives like Business Correspondent Network, PMJDY and Mudra platforms, Bhim UPI, and so on. All these initiatives have been from the supply side, and the financial literacy drives around these initiatives also focused on one-way information transfer and mass awareness programs. And what we have seen is that we have been only partly successful because we still find ourselves quite away from the goal of universal financial inclusion. And that is why what we have discovered over our journey of last 7-8 years is some key insights, very quickly is what I'm going to share with you. So what you will hear is largely a practitioner's view as far as financial education is. So what we have observed is when we see the entire effort that has taken place so far towards financial inclusion through financial literacy drives, we see that now there is a need for, in fact, what we really need for successful financial inclusion is a deeper understanding of demand side barriers, and then translating these into building the right kind of learning modules, be it content, be it delivery mediums for different target groups. What I would like to really emphasize upon is the focus of financial education now needs to move from linkage to usage. Yeah, so that's where we need to focus our energies. What we have seen is that the COVID-19 pandemic has really allowed us to move into phygital modes of training and engagement. Things like bite-sized content, mobile-based and virtual modes of training, coupled with in-person engagement, is very much possible now, and it's been tried out, tested very successfully by a number of players, including us at Crystal Foundation. In fact, our community cadre of Sakhis has really demonstrated, how two very key important aspects of learnings can be easily achieved. And these two important learning elements are really making the learning demand-based, bite-sized, and provided at the most appropriate teachable moments. Yeah. So this is something, the research has shown that these are the most important pillars, where effective learning takes place. And that's what, the phygital modes of communication today have made it possible. So it need not be one time, it need not be one way. Yeah, we can look at repeat touch points. This can be possible and affordable because of all the facilities that today's technology is able to provide to us. Yeah. The other thing that we realize, and what I would like to highlight, is that we need to make financial education a dynamic process. Yeah, and move in tandem with all the changes that technology is bringing about or has brought about. Yeah, I see that there is a lot of stereotyping of financial education that has happened. Whenever we talk about financial education or financial literacy, we invariably talk about importance of savings, importance of budgeting, importance of having a bank account, importance of having an insurance. We just, largely seem to be focusing on these very linkage specific conversation. And that's why earlier I mentioned that now we need to move from linkage to usage. Yeah. So the point that I was making is that we need to make the financial education a dynamic process, and we need to take into account all the changes that are today happening around us, particularly towards financial inclusion aspect. For example, digitalization of payments, tech-enabled lending platforms, all of this particularly meant for small loans have created a need for a very different kind of financial education among the target groups, such as micro entrepreneurs, small business owners, and first-time borrowers. I would like to emphasize. So, today, thanks to PMJDY, penetration of bank accounts has improved significantly. We see, almost majority of adult population today seems to have a bank account. Okay, so today, when we talk about financial exclusion, I would say, and I think it won't be very wrong if I say that today's financial exclusion is more about credit exclusion. Yeah. In fact, CRISIL Inclusives also highlights that credit penetration over the years has significantly lagged behind the other two indicators of inclusion, which is branch penetration and deposit penetration. And that is where now there is a need for us to focus our financial education, which is the credit exclusion part. And that's where we believe at CRISIL Foundation that there is a need to create modules that help in building right kind of awareness about credit. Yeah, importance of borrowing responsibly, repayment discipline, building a strong credit history to improve the credit scores, awareness around alternate data that goes into credit decisioning, so on and so forth. So unless we make our first-time borrowers or so-called credit excluded population aware about how all of this is going to impact their own ability to borrow, we will not achieve credit penetration meaningfully. So while technology has brought about significant ease, it has also exposed the customers to new risks. And that is where the next focus of financial education also needs to come. Yeah. So bringing strong awareness around cybersecurity and customer protection is an important area that we all need to now focus on. While there are set of people who are promoting, all kinds of digital financial platforms and financial services, right from cryptocurrency to a Google Pay kind of platform, what we really need to focus on as stakeholders in financial inclusion and education is building right kind of awareness around the risks involved, the cyber threats, and bringing about right kind of customer protection. Yeah. And last but not the least, creating awareness around the grievance redressal system becomes a crucial aspect of building confidence of customers in the formal financial institutions. If you recall the list of 8 impediments that I read about, one important item there was lack of confidence, lack of trust. So this lack of trust is mainly because people don't know where to go if something goes wrong. And that's why the grievance redressal system, which today exists, of course, it needs to function far better than where it is today. But it is important for us to create right kind of awareness among the newly included population about this grievance redressal system. Only then will they be able to feel confident that, okay, even if I try and something goes wrong, I know where I can go and get my grievance addressed. So that is very, very important. And finally, I cannot stress less on the importance of need for convergence. Earlier I spoke about multiple stakeholders, working towards the objective of universal financial inclusion. Yeah, and all of us are working towards this common objective. However, what we observe is that we all are working in silos. Different departments within the government, regulators, the corporate CSR initiatives. If all these stakeholders come together and work in a coordinated and collaborated manner, we will make significant strides towards achieving not just universal, but I would say a highly meaningful financial inclusion in our country. So towards this, we have 2 very important conversations scheduled under this track. Under technical session 4, we are going to look at various innovations in content and communication. And in the next session after that, we are going to be focusing on the theme of reinventing the wheel. And that particular theme will talk about multiple stakeholders and how effectively all of us can come together, and work in a collaborated manner towards our common objective. So I'm sure, like me, we all are looking forward to listening to the views of our highly distinguished panel members. And I wish this track the very best. and hand this forum back to Arya. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Maya. Thanks a lot for that well articulated address. I once again extend a warm welcome to everyone who has logged in to the platform. We will have a short break now, and then we will begin the first technical session under the track on financial education. Please grab your tea, coffee, and stay logged into the same hall. And the next session will start at 12:25. Thank you.
क्या है जो आता हुआ अच्छा लगता है लेकिन जाता हुआ नहीं?
एक और हिंट, ये चीज जाती है हर महीने पर आती है 3 महीने में एक बार।
ब्याज, इंटरेस्ट।
लोन पे तो इंटरेस्ट बैंक हर महीने लेते हैं,
लेकिन सेविंग्स अकाउंट में इंटरेस्ट देते हैं 3 महीने में एक बार।
ऐसा क्यों?
एयू बैंक के सेविंग्स अकाउंट में इंटरेस्ट मिलता है हर महीने,
मतलब साल में 12 बार।
एयू बैंक, बदलाव हमसे है।
Presenting 2 new tech initiatives in the retail microfinance sector. Sahyog 2.0 app